as with the suffering servant, when God's plan doesn't look like what we think it is, we tend to reject it.
Right.
They rejected the servant because he didn't look like what they thought it and didn't act like what the... And when God tries to work in our lives in ways that we don't think is supposed to be how things work, we tend to reject it. Believers are not exempt from this tendency. Most everybody has a notion of what being delivered looks like. And when God acts in a way that challenges that notion, we dismiss it, revile against it, or are flat out clueless to the fact that it's happening. Many a person wants deliverance from diabetes, but when the doctor prescribes a drug or a procedure that we find inconvenient or scary, we decide that we would rather live with the condition. Many a person prays for financial deliverance, but resists the notion of somebody sitting down and helping them draw a budget. Our notion of financial deliverance is increase in income. God's notion of financial blessings might be discipline.
Right.
Consequently, many times we await God's deliverance when it has already come and gone. I guarantee you today that there are people that have been delivered, have been through the altar lines, have been prayed for, God delivered them, and they still do not know it. They walk in bondage to the box that they try to keep God in.
Right, right.
God's supposed to work a certain way. Healing is supposed to look a certain way. Deliverance is supposed to look a certain way. God said, I've already done it. It just doesn't look like what you think. So you're not able to see it because you're still looking for me to do things the way you think I should do them. More important in this age than what deliverance looks like is what it feels like.
Yes.
Everybody has a notion of what it's supposed to feel like to be delivered. How did you feel when you come out the wilderness?
Yes.
When deliverance comes with consequence that we didn't anticipate, we question whether or not God is working at all. We have a notion of what it feels like to be delivered and what life under the hand of God is supposed to look like. Some of it comes from TV, some of it comes from very bad preaching, some of it comes from our own illusions, but we've got an idea of how it's supposed to feel. But when being delivered doesn't feel like what I think it's supposed to, God's not working.
Yes.
We wonder what we could have done to cause God to abandon us. Why hasn't he heard my prayer yet? I did, you're just not looking at it because you're still looking for me to do things in a way that fits with your life, fits with your expectations, fits with what goes within your box. Let me keep moving before I get stuck too long on this. God's plan for Israel and for us today does not come by might, not by power, not by reason or by feeling, but by his Spirit.
Yes.
And the work of the Spirit confounds the wise, the philosopher, the theologian, the bishop, the pastor, and every last one of y'all.
Yes.
God is a paradigm-busting God.
Yes. Yes.
Our text of Isaiah 53:10 in the New Living Translation begins by declaring God has a plan, despite the fact that they were under the rule of a strange king, strange president. Yahweh had a plan. Despite having their land invaded and their temple destroyed, the people of God being taken from their homes, God had a plan.
Yes, it is.
Despite the fact that their captivity was a result of their own sin and rebellion, God had a plan. He's a faithful God who binds himself to his promises and does not abandon those people that abandon him. He is the God of the strange land. He's a God in strange time and always has a plan for his people. It just doesn't always look like what we think it should. Then again, if it was something we could figure out or it would make sense to us, it probably would not require his intervention. If the solution were accessible to human intelligence, imagination, if you could have figured it out, you'd have had it fixed by now. The reason that God needs to step in is because it's outside of what your mind can put together, which means don't be surprised when it's not what you expected to happen.
Yes.